Hey, so how are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. I just got off the phone with my school counselor. I've got awesome classes set up for the spring. Hey, Mandy, I want to talk today about tarot parties.
Ah, nice.
Actually, that's not right. That's not right at all.
Oh,
Reading tarot at parties, of which there are tarot parties. And see, that's the thing. Hey, everybody, welcome to Easy Tarot Lessons, blah, 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 blah. Sit down and take notes. So when we say, hey, let's go reading tarot at parties, well,
yes.
okay, you get it straight from me here. Sometimes it ain't pretty. Like, yes, I was a male. I was a horny bastard. It's synonymous, right? In my 20s. And I knew how to read the tarot rather well. And I went to parties. So yes, there was a time when I read parties for attractive ladies at well, pretty much anybody, but yeah, I read tarot at parties. Like that was a thing. And I'm not the only schmuck who does this or has done this. I'm just like I stay away from people now, like because anything I do, it's like you jerk. It's like oh no. So, but yeah. In the past, I used to uh, I used to read and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about reading cards at parties
Right.
because there's, hey, let's have fun doing this. Let's get practice. I mean, these are all different ways. Let's have
Yes.
fun doing this. That's one. Let's get some practice in. That's another thing. I am the entertainment unofficial, right, for the party. Then there's what you do, which is you are the official entertainment. So that would be, let's say, working the party. And then there are, quote, tarot parties like Tupperware parties or Amway parties or let's all worship Jesus parties. You know, I don't know, whatever kind of, look, this is some crazy sex crap that people get into. And you guys can do that. That's not for me. I'm like, let's just read the tarot and that's it. Keep our clothes on because that makes sense, right? None of it makes sense. So the point is, I wanted to have fun today talking about parties.
Yes.
And the thing is that there's just so many different ways. When you say, hey, reading at a party, unless we clarify, it really could mean a number of things. So
Oh, it
let's
means all sorts.
explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's explore the different things that we can do
Yes.
because I'm sure a lot of our listeners will find something they want to do and they should certainly want this covered. So, Sharon, if you would be the keeper of information and keep me from forgetting to cover any of those particular topics. But let's start with the most obvious and get it out of the way because I have firsthand experience of this. Now, let's say you are single, or not to tell people how to live their lives, but let's say you can get away with it. If you're not, I'm not saying, again, I'm not condoning bad behavior. But let's say that you're interested in meeting new people or getting to know them better. If you're going to bring your cards to a party and read for some hottie, please, for the love of baby Jesus, give them a real reading. It may go south. You may go, oh crap, this didn't work out so well. But don't don't be tempted to read. Oh, I see a psychic in your future. Oh, I see you getting together with somebody who looks just like me. You know, I bring this up and it's kind of funny, but you know what?
Yeah. I bet people do it.
I'd never
Whoa,
even
I've seen
considered
people do it.
that.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
I can see
Remember,
how
I'm a
easy.
guy.
I
I,
can
I
see how
see
easy it is to do it.
No, I'm a guy. I've seen other guys pull this stuff. Now, I can't speak for the opposite gender, you know, and I don't want to. But I'll I'll wrap my brothers out and say, yeah, I've seen him do it. You know? And the problem is, it's like the guy at the party, like, hey, how'd you like a back massage? It's like,
Right.
wow, you know, one guy to another. It's like, can you be that obvious? Can you be that stupid? So keep in mind that we like to drag these guys out back and just beat them senseless when nobody's looking. So but this is a thing. This is a thing. So I'm asking everybody who's listening, if you're still listening after all this banter, and we just got started. For the love of Christ, don't put up with it from somebody else, and don't do it yourself. Don't give fakey McFake readings. If you're going to give a reading, let the chips fall where they may. It doesn't have to be deep and insightful. It doesn't have to be life-changing. But go into it with sincere intent. Now, let's stop before we go on to any other types of topics or readings. Do you guys have any thoughts on this particular thing? Like you're reading for a hot evening and keeping your morals clear and pure, or am I just being an old fart?
I've never
I can't
experienced
say.
it.
I think there's only ever been one person that plonked himself down in front of me, and I thought, oh my God, but I still did the reading properly. And then later on, to cut a long story short, I found him on Facebook and he was gay. So that was it. But yeah, I was really conscious of the fact that I thought he was very attractive, but I still did the reading properly.
Oh no, there's all kinds of there's physical attraction is physical attraction, and some people are But what I'm saying is, I'm glad that it's never occurred to you, and I'm glad that it's never happened in your sense. But especially among the younger crowd, the tarot is just another way of hooking up. So So my point is that in this first scenario, you showed up to a party. You just happen to bring your cards. Or, as will happen as you get more well known, you show up to the party and one of your friends or someone else says, "Hey, you read cards? Did you bring your cards? Get your cards." This happens all the time. You get to the point where you probably want to carry your cards with you at all times, or at least your card, because people will say, "Hey, you read cards? Read my cards." Or, "Hey, someone, hey, you need to get to this person who reads cards." And at a party, when we're just we're at a party, we're having fun, we brought our cards. That is a different vibe, a different scenario than other types of parties, which we will talk about here in a moment. But you won't generally have people taking it super seriously. Or, in my case, time and time again, have a line. It's funny because you start reading for someone, maybe you're just bored. This happens. You're bored and you grab your friend. It's like, "Hey, let's play a game with our tarot cards," or let's answer some questions. Your friend's like, "Hey, just answer some questions." You can't pull out cards. It is impossible to pull out cards at a party without somebody going, little kitty ears perking up.
Yeah.
Like, well, I smell tarot cards. Hey, bling! And next thing you know, you're kind of like surrounded, like a little cloud of people. And then that turns into a line. So my point is that, my first point is that, obviously, please keep your integrity, but realize that some people won't. And when you see it, make a note of it. I'm not saying necessarily call that person out, but, handle it as you do. But don't be that. Don't be the guy. Now, let's say you're out there just reading for a friend or a stranger or whatever, and then the line starts to form, or other people want it. You got to realize going into this that if you bring out your cards, you're probably going to end up reading for a few people. Hopefully you're not at one of those parties where somebody's going to start bitching and complaining about blah, 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 tarot this, tarot that. I got a tarot reading at one time, and be careful of the party pooper. But that's true of anything, but especially with the tarot. Now, when you are reading, most people at the party came there to go to the party. They're just looking to be entertained. They may choose to be entertained by, "Hey, here's the thing, let's get a reading," or they may not. But they're probably not going to come in looking for serious life-changing advice. and you'll be going through 2, 3, 4, 17 people. And then all of a sudden one comes in and they do want life-changing advice. They, blah, blah, blah. I've got cancer of the soul or something. I mean, it's, don't make fun of cancer, but it's, they've got something really heavy duty. So you've got to just be kind of psychologically prepared. It's not a big thing, but if you're going to take your cards to a party, realize that most people will just want something fun and light. And sometimes it'll get a little bit of a gray area, especially once they feel like, hey, wow, you're really answering my questions. This is fun, but you're really insightful. No, by the way, let me pull this out. So there is some gray area, but then you might get somebody who's just really, and it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, but it's like, heavy duty topic. So when you're reading at a party, generally speaking, you want to keep it short. I'd like you to keep it light. You can do full spreads. You can do, matter of fact, I strongly advise you read at parties as exercise in the way that I'm talking about, like just drag your cards to parties and do full spreads, because I want you to be able to do full spreads in under 10 minutes. Just really quick. You're not going to give them the end all be all of everything you've ever heard and everything in the card, but you're going to give them a much better picture than trying to like, if you had 10 minutes, do a Celtic cross. Don't do a 3-card spread. Do a 3-card spread, you're going to be spreading yourself thin, trying to fill in information. If you throw down a Celtic cross, you're going to be like, oh my God, there's this. I don't have time to go over all this stuff. Man, there's just a ton of stuff. But what your, dare I say client, because it's the word, but the person, the querent and person you're reading for, what they're going to hear is detail, fact, point. Look over here. Wow. They are going to be extremely impressed with the volume, accuracy, and specificity of your information. And they'll leave being hungry. Whether they pay you or not in the future is irrelevant. The fact that they like you and will tell other people good things about you, that's what's important. And then, if you leave party and you're like dead tired because you expended all the psychic energy really reading for people, pat yourself on the back. You did a good job. So that's the first scenario of you're just going to a party saying, hey, I got my cards. Or somebody says, you, bring out your cards. The summation is keep it fun, keep it light, have fun. Try to be prepared for any contingency, because there's going to be all kinds of stuff. But it's great practice. Now, I want to move on to specifically working a party. Now, it's not a tarot party. We'll get to that in a moment. But I want to go on to the next subject of like what Mandy does. And, well, I guess we've all done it, but Mandy like specifically does it. She does it a lot with Mrs. Bubbles, is where she is the entertainment. But did either one of you have a comment that you wanted, or something I missed, or something you disagree with about you're at a party because, well, it's a party, and somebody grabs you and says, you, give me a reading. Any experiences you've had? I could tell you all stuff of mine, but
Mainly, if you bring your cards to a party and pull them out, be prepared to be there till 3 or 4 in the morning. Because, yeah, it's a real icebreaker.
Well, Mandy, that was kind of like, I mean, even though it's a totally different situation, what Sharon said is exactly what happened to you at the university. Because technically it was just a party, but you had a line and they had to chop the line in half, and like, everybody outside the door, go away, go home.
Well, the line was there before I even got there. When I arrived, the line was hanging out the building. They've been waiting. God knows how long they've been waiting for. There was maybe 50, 60 people in the line before we even walked into the room. It was crazy.
So let's talk about that. So what we're talking about here is a certain high-level, prestigious, couple hundred-year-old university was having Was it a party for their
It was a
students?
ball. It was a ball for the students because they'd finished their degrees, and there were hundreds of students there, and there were loads of things going on all over the gardens, in all of the rooms. There was bars and bands and there was all sorts of things going on. But literally, as soon as we arrived, and they came and sort of found us in the car park and sort of marched us straight to where they were putting us because people were waiting, and basically the queue did not go down um, until an hour before we were due to finish. We were booked for 5 hours. I had to go and sort of say to people, look, go and enjoy the rest of the party because we are not going to get to you. I had to sort of cut it off at one point because it wasn't fair on them. And
No, absolutely.
yeah, and we were going so fast, but the queue just kept coming. It just didn't go down until I actually physically stopped it.
So if you have cards and you want to make a lot of what are they calling in Fight Club? Single serving friends. Well, drag your cards to a party. Find any excuse you can. Go on Craigslist. Okay, maybe not. Craigslist killer. Find ways to make friends. You don't even need that. Just find ways to find parties and say, hey, I want to make friends. I'll show up, and you can put up. We should talk about that. Various ways to get lots of practice because we will. But
oh yeah, I definitely think Sharon is right though. I think once you get the cards out, you've got to think before you take them out because once they're out, everybody's going to want them. And
you can't really put the genie back in the bottle.
It's difficult. It's very, very difficult to do that. If you were just on a private, personal night out and you had your cards with you, I even had it on a plane.
Wow.
I want to hear this.
Yeah.
Seriously, I was on a plane and I got my cards out. And the steward said, "Are you doing tarot cards?" Right? And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, would you give me a reading when I'm finished serving?" And I went, "Okay." And literally, I went. He came back and he went, "Come with me," and he took me to the back of the plane.
Yay.
And I sat at the back of the plane. There were 5 stewards there, or stewardesses, whatever. I think the only member of staff that wasn't there was the pilot, who was at the front, and I was gone. And when I came back to my seat, eventually, Gretel went, "Where have you been?"
Your poor daughter. It's like, Mom.
It was just they all wanted it, and in fact, if I hadn't have been in this little room at the back, the passengers probably would have wanted it too.
Yep.
I mean, it was.
It is contagious, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And I do get people that say, "Oh, can we book you?" But not everyone's going to want a reading. I thought, they are.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Not everybody's going to want a reading. That's okay. That's nice. When you are, let's say, booked,
Yeah.
now there's a couple of ways. I don't want to go too deeply into this because, we're here all day. But, and we cover this in depth in the course and, easytarolessons.com. We don't cover it in day one. So don't think you're going to walk in and we're going to give you this stuff right away. We want to make sure you can read first, and that you pass our muster. But yeah, we do this. But here's some free stuff. So let's say you are booked. Now, a couple of different things. I would like you all to always approach this as if you're being paid $100 an hour, or if you're already being paid $100 an hour, I'm being paid $100 an hour. Well, then fine, $500 an hour, whatever. But I want you to approach this like you're getting a decent salary, and that you're being paid for your time, and that people are putting out good money for this. Because we go in with that type of capitalistic mentality, it's going to really push you to suck it up. When you deal with somebody who's a little problematic, remember that you may be doing this all the time. this is new to people. Most people don't ever get a reading, and those who do get a reading a couple of years, if that, and then smaller and smaller, like the 1% of the 1%. Yeah, they'll get a couple of people get readings more frequently than that, but people aren't really trained for this, so you got to be kind of nice as they stumble through. It's like being yanked off the street. Like, you're going to give a job. You're going to, interview for a job right now. It's like, what? Wait, no, I don't need a job. You're going to get an interview. You would be a complete mess. You'd be like a fish out of water. That's how most people, like at a party, they're accosted. They're like, oh, wait, I could get a tarot reading? I always wanted a tarot reading. Or hey, this would be fun. But they haven't been trained for it. They have no idea. So, we have to, it's old hat to us. So we have to really exercise a little bit more patience if they're not speaking in this phraseology or the mannerisms that we would like them. Tell me this, tell me that. It's like, translate it into, please tell me this, tell me that in your head, so that it's easier. When you are booked for thing, either you are practicing, or building contacts, or laying out a whole lot of free readings to get the word spread around that you are that good, and then you're starting, or on the other end, you're getting paid by the hour. Now, I don't want to set a rate and say you must follow this, but if you are at a point where you are ready to be booked to read professionally, and Sharon and Mandy, without revealing your rates as per se, let's just kind of get a good general feel of what you think is reasonable. Hypothetically, let's say your rate is really low. Let's say you're $30 an hour, which nobody should be, but because you either don't charge, or you should be a minimum of $60 an hour. That's $1 a minute. That's it's like $15 for a 15-minute reading. A lot of people do like $15 for a 10-minute reading, or $20 for a 15-minute reading. That's just that's still $70, $80 an hour. This is pretty standard. It's not exorbitant. That's not Beverly Hills or Manhattan or Hollywood. It's just run-of-the-mill stuff. But still, 60, 70, 80, $100 an hour. So but let's say hypothetically that you're like, hey, the market, or I just don't feel comfortable with this, but I give good readings and I'm at $30 an hour. All right, so not bad. Remember, pay your taxes, kids, stay in school, don't do drugs, that kind of stuff. So if your normal rate is $30 an hour, don't go in going, oh, I'm going to do a party for $30 an hour, because, well, Mandy, let me ask you, without rates, $30 an hour reading from person to person, or X number of dollars per hour. I'm just play with me on this. I know I'm talking American dollars, but let's say hypothetically $30 an hour. That's reading for one person, maybe a little break, one person, a little break, whatever. But if you go to a party, you're on display. There's probably, like you said, there's probably going to be a line. I am arguing that you should double or even triple your rate.
Well, I don't.
Knowing,
I do it per person at a party.
Okay, do tell.
I treat it the same as if I was booked to be Mrs. Bubbles, or if I was a magician. Do you see what I'm saying? So I charge a set fee
by the volume
for
of the
being
people
there.
at the party.
Pardon?
Nice. Yeah, by the volume of the people that'll be attending.
Yeah, so it's up to, so put it this way, if there were 4 people at the party, they're going to get nice, decent readings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Because I've been paid to be there for 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever. Do you see what I mean? So they'll get a very decent reading. But if it's a heaving party, they just have to respect the fact that it's a long queue, and I'm going to be just banging them out, simple as that. But I get paid my flat fee for being there, and I will just do as good a job as I possibly can, and that's it. And I just work it out roughly how long I can give to each person, weighing up the number of people that appear to be there.
Right. And so what I want to just clarify on my end is
Mm.
that I want people to respect themselves and the fact that if they are going to be reading at a party, let's say you walk into a party with your tarot cards, you're on your own. But if somebody says, I would like to book you for a party,
Yes.
I want you, look, you've been doing Mrs. Bubbles for a long time. So you came into this fully prepared to understand the effort and work that goes for putting together everything you'll need, the getting to the location, making
Yeah.
sure there's parking, safety, all that stuff. I mean, that's like drilled into your head.
Yeah.
But for anybody who's new to this, I don't want anyone listening to go in and undercut themselves and then find they're working like, oh my God, well, I'm working at a party, so I should give a discount rate because I'm going to be making like $60 over 3 hours or whatever.
No.
And then they're just, they bled themselves dry because they didn't realize that they were going to be slammed with people.
Yeah.
When you're reading for a number of people,
Yeah.
a lot of times the energy is high. So it's kind of like being on a sugar high. You will feel good until you stop.
Yeah.
And then once you leave, it all hits you. You just like fall over. You maybe not be able to drive home, like take a nap or something. But so for people who have not been booked to read at a party, I would like them to be prepared psychologically to say, look, it's going to be a lot of fun, with rare exceptions. With common sense precautions. Parties are fun. Rare exceptions, nothing bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to have a good time. Everybody's going to respect you. You're going to get paid. I mean, use your common sense, of course. But know that unless the party's a real bomb, which you have no control over, or people just refuse to have a good time, you're going to be the star of the show. You are going to be working, you're going to be busy, and you're going to have to be smiley and friendly.
Mm.
I know
Oh, yeah.
it's easy for Mandy because, this is what she does. But for the rest of us, like, hey, you call me up and say, hey, Dusty, I want you to read for a party. Like, oh, well, will there be booze there, But yeah, so I'm going, hey, I'm going to go to a party and bring my cards. Like, oh no, I'm going to have to go in there and I'm going to have to make the host look good.
Yeah.
As well as myself.
True. Yeah.
So I just want people to be prepared. I'm not scaring people away, but we go in knowing that, it's a fun job, but it's still a job. Might be a rock star, right? That song. Be prepared to work is what I'm saying. If you're getting paid, be prepared to work and charge accordingly. Now, if you're a seasoned pro like Mandy, you say, oh, okay, I got the budgeting and everything. If you're not, I would say at least double your normal rate.
Well,
You can always negotiate.
You need to allow for travel time as well. Like if you were doing a reading,
and travel expenses.
Yeah, because if you were doing just a reading, the chances are the client will come to you, or it will be convenient for you. So even if you were charging £30 an hour, that might be from your own home. It might be on the phone or on FaceTime, or they come
meet
to
at
you.
Starbucks or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no, so, but if you're going to a party, I think you need to you need to sort of say, even if you were prepared to do it for £30 or whatever per person, let's just say, but you should, I think, at least say it has to be a minimum of 2 people or 3 people.
Right. So there has to be a definite minimum.
Yeah.
Now there's another thing, and you can answer this question. Actually, anybody can answer it, but you can definitely answer this because you are the person who's doing it all the time between Mrs. Bubbles and your normal, your tarot card readings and whatnot. when you are booked to go to a party, now I know Mrs. Bubbles is something different,
Yeah.
but you'll understand where I'm going here. You're not just, they're not expecting you to show up naked. In other words, they're not just expecting you to show up with your tarot cards. You
No.
might expected to bring a table or a cloth or some ambiance,
Yeah.
so you need to, at least in your car or with you in your purse or something, have little accoutrements, or even like a spread cloth or something that
Yeah,
you
you
may never need to
too much.
use. But
Just a little bit. You could do it on public transport. I just think if you had a nice, like you say, a nice cloth or a reading mat, and maybe
something, yeah,
just
just
a
saying,
little
you
thing.
don't know where you're going to end up and what they're going to give you. And they may have said, well, hey, I thought there'd be a candle or a crystal ball, or, in other words, they may have thought that you would bring a little bit of, and then if they're paying, they're like, hey, I'm paying for the experience. And the
Yeah,
experience is, I'm not saying dress up like a gypsy if you're not a gypsy. I'm saying have, and the point is that this stuff costs money, which, so that goes into your billing, is that, like, so let me ask you, when you go to do when you're booked for a tarot event, Mandy,
yes.
do you ever, this is a rather blatant and unannounced question, do you ever show up and all you bring is your tarot cards and then everything's in place, or do you have to, not, I'm going to be careful and not say you come in and you decorate the whole place, but do you have to throw down a little something to create a sacred space or a feel, or?
Well, if my definition of a party starts from maybe that I'm just going round to somebody's house and they've got a few friends coming round. They're going to have a few drinks, and I'm put in a bedroom or something, and they come in one at a time to have a tarot reading. And it's literally a very informal thing. So if that is the case, and they're still charged a flat fee for me turning up and doing that, if that is the case, I say to her, you have to provide me with a table and two chairs. I'd
Right.
say that to her when she books it. I'm being very sexist here. It might not be a she, but it usually is a woman's sort of thing. But it might not be. But I do ask them to provide a table and two chairs, and I will come with a reading cloth, like my little sort of mat, my reading mat, and my cards. That's about it, to be honest. And I
Okay.
will always make an effort what I look like in terms of, but I will be in normal clothes. But I kind of, I've got my makeup on. I'm not turning up scruffy. But when I'm booked to do an event, which I think is a sort of a level up from a party, I will come in my medieval costume. I will offer them the medieval costume, and they always say yes.
Right. Right.
And
It's
then
funny how they
I
never say
bring
no.
fake candles and things. That sort of. I bring a few more bits then.
So I think that's the thing, is don't feel like you have to go clean out your crystal collection
No.
and candles and incense and drag that to a party. But be aware that there's a kind of gray area where you might be expected to bring some ambiance. And so if you can travel light and bring a little
Yeah.
bit, or like I said, this is public transportation or a car, you can just have a little bit squirreled away somewhere. It can really save you a lot of stress. And all this before you go into it. That's the real thing, is that we just want you to be prepared.
Yeah. I've got a little. I made a little kind of Mrs. Bubble. Sorry, Mandy on the Moon. Yeah, tarot parties guide. I made a little PDF thing, so when they book it, I email that over to them, and it sort of tells them what to expect, what I'm going to be bringing, what I need them to supply. It's only like a couple of pages, and also on it, there's a little sheet that they can print off that they can give to all their guests, so they can think about what they want their reading to be about.
Nice.
So they can,
Now,
yeah.
before you guys all start asking me to hand out that PDF, this is something specifically for our advanced students. So just so you know, we're not just going to be throwing it out there on the internet. Hey, give me Mandy's sheet. Like, but see, I'm glad you brought that up, because totally apart from tarot reading or anything tarot, one of the most important phrases and most pertinent phrases in modern marketing, corporate marketing, and especially digital marketing, is the term managing clients' expectations or managing customers' expectations. You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
If you're in those circles. And this is what Mandy's done, is she has prepared her clients to go, here's what you can expect, so that when it all comes down, they feel like they've gotten what they've paid for.
Yeah.
Because if you don't give them an idea of what to expect, which what they should expect is what you feel comfortable providing. Please don't let anyone say, well, you should have done this, or I hired Mandy and she did this, or whatever. Don't do that to yourself. Now, if you can help your clients manage expectations, even during your practice parties and whatnot, it's a good habit to get into. It'll make everything a lot less stressful. So that was worth the price of admission right there. Sharon, we've been yapping all around you. So with everything we've said, anything you want to comment on, any experiences, thoughts, either side of the table you've been on?
I think you covered it. Mandy's got a lot more experience doing actual parties and events than I do. Absolutely.
Well, this is, she's in the zone, and this is specifically what she's out there doing all the time. So this is one of the reasons why we like to have her on a regular basis. We've got students of all stripes doing all different types of things. Some are on retainer for business clients. Others, some read over the internet or the phone. Some do parties. Some just put up posters. There's different ways. It really, like Mandy said, it really comes down to the personality, in this case of the reader, their resources, their comfort zone. Like, I could never do door-to-door sales, so I would never do door-to-door sales. Some people may never want to read in front of a crowd of people, so they would not read in front of a crowd of people. The thing is that whatever it is that we do, we all have our specific preferences. That's just life. That's good. So the important thing is, I want everyone to work within your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And of course, let us help you. Let us advise you. And then, of course, you want to take courses. That's awesome. Private teaching, free up books, all that stuff. Or we just got our podcast, and eventually we'll get back to doing videos. But the thing is, let us help you take a lot of the stress out of your experience, so that you can just you can do this and enjoy it and profit from it, either emotionally or financially or socially. Profit meaning you come out better for it.
Can I say something else?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, at the sort of the smaller parties. Oh, actually, no, never mind whether it was small or not. I have realised there's two versions, and it might, I don't mind either way, but I just think people should be aware of this. Sometimes they do want to shut you away in another room, and they will come through one at a time and have their reading, for however long they're going to get, and that's fine. Other times they actually want to all hear each other's readings, so it is more of a public thing. So it's got a very different feel to it. I don't mind either way, but I just kind of thought I should flag that up in this podcast, that you could be faced with either of those scenarios, and if if one of those kind of just doesn't work for you, maybe you should, again, with the client expectation, you should say, this is how I do it. We need a separate space or whatever.
That's a very good point, because what I don't want is, I don't want anybody going in and be surprised or caught off guard.
Yeah.
If we're caught off guard, we get defensive. Our intuition, our intuitive gateway, because our intuition is like a valve. It just puckers right up. Can't, then it's not working. And you're like, oh, I was great. I was relaxed. I was fine. And all of a sudden you threw this at me. And then you look like a diva or a fake. And, but it's because of circumstances outside of your control. So yes, we don't want any surprises, or, preferably manageable surprises. That's very good. I'm glad you brought it up, Mandy. So in a very casual and informal way, we've kind of covered a lot of what you can expect and how to get the most out of just showing up to a party with cards, and be prepared, or being prepared, to handle anything that's tossed at you. And at a party, it's much like more what Mandy said. You might get dragged off to a room to read for somebody, but more often than not, you'll find, even if it's kind of a little bit off in the corner, you'll find that you're, pretty much in view of everybody. And so people will start to drift by. You'll get, what's interesting is you get a lot of those sideways glances. And keep in mind that while you're reading, you will be extra sensitive. Now, if you have any water in your chart, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, you may feel extra sensitive. Like, why is that person looking at me? Trust me, I know that feeling all too well. Because the act of reading cards, specifically the tarot, you are lowering your defenses. You are opening yourself up to the divine, which kind of opens you up to, people's opinions and emotions that are leaking out, and something will grab you, and you'll just feel, or you'll feel and glance up and notice the little sidelong glances. Keep in mind that at that moment, you are more aware than they are. That person may be feeling, wow, I really want a reading. Boy, I don't want to go over there and say something, or wow, she's really busy. Just as easily as the person may be going, I don't want to do that. But you never know, so be careful not to take it personally. And the reason why I bring that up is because when we're wide open and when we're doing this, and then we feel this thing intruding on us, we glance up and somebody's giving a sideways glance, it's kind of easy. It's a little too easy to get the wrong impression, or at least get a negative impression. And I don't want you to have to deal with that. But yeah, very rarely will you get pulled off completely to someplace dark and mysterious. Now, I will say this, Mandy's a professional, but for the rest of you who may not be doing this all the time, be aware of your environment. And I don't want to get crazy on this and paranoid and put you guys in a bad place. But if you are dragged off or secluded in a room alone with a person, and you are making this deep, hey, that's my alarm. Sorry about that.
Oh.
I do have the brakes. It's fine. Pitch up, boys. I don't even know. It's money, guys. It's an alarm. It's an alarm, whatever. It's my Mandy's astrological lesson alarm is what that was specifically. If you're being dragged off to a dark corner, or away from people, be aware of your safety, but also be aware of your reputation. Again, not to be paranoid, but in today's environment, if it doesn't feel right, or it starts to feel wrong at any moment, GTFO. An easy way to do this is to start vomiting. If you can't do that, suddenly have to go to the bathroom, just and again, very delicately, wow, I really gotta pee, give me a moment. You know, you always go back and collect your shit later, but don't make a scene in front of the person. I'm going to go now, and you're a bad person. It's like, you know, if you feel it's wrong, or something's wrong with this, or it's going badly, get back in a public space. All right, Grandpa's being all paranoid here. Better not be dating my daughter. Anyway, so enough of that. Parties. Generally speaking, I think this is a lot of information to process, but if you're going to be reading at parties, oh, we haven't talked about tarot parties. Okay, so a tarot party is not a party. I mean, like what we've been talking about is up till now, either you're attending the party, somebody says, hey, get your cards, or hey, you know, you brought your cards, or, you know, and you're like, well, I hope I get a reading, you know, or I just happen to have them in my back pocket all the time. Or you brought them going, wow, I really want to see if I can practice picking up hotties. You know, whatever it is you're doing, it's not for me to say what you do, but whatever it is you're doing, this is, you know, you attending a party, or you are being booked and you are the, you know, being paid, or whether or not being paid, you're there, be volunteering, but you are the officially providing a service. Either one of those, we're talking about a party. Now, a tarot party, little different. I don't want to go into all the details of how to set up a tarot party, because again, God, that'll take forever. But it's got the same word, party. Maybe that's not exactly the right word, but it's what people call it. So if you are at a tarot party, he says it with finger quotes, or you want to run tarot parties, what you're essentially doing is getting a number of people together, preferably they all chip in to collectively pay your rate. You know, hey, $10, $15, $100, whatever, you know, depending on your social circle. Yeah, pop on in and we're gonna have wine and a tarot reader. You know, they throw some money together, and then what you're really doing is you're paying for the tarot reader. Or the idea is that you'll be having a get together where you will want people to get a reading from you. That is a tarot party. That is a different thing than reading tarot at parties. Why do I make the distinction? Because you'll hear as you talk to people the word parties, the word tarot, and depending on the which word comes first, reading tarot at the parties, or a tarot party with no at there, you're going to be dealing with different events, different psychologies, different outcomes, different price ranges. I'm not a huge fan of quote tarot parties, and I don't want you not to structure them, but just be aware that the idea of a quote tarot party is not going to be as appealing to as many people as you being booked to read tarot cards at a party. So don't think it's some kind of magic bullet where you're going to suddenly suck the money out of people to come to a quote party that's not a party at all. Well, y'all can party while I'm raking in the money. Any thoughts or questions on any of this? Anything I missed?
Well, I still treat them the same personally, but that's me. As in, if somebody phones me and says, how does it work with the tarot party? I will just quote my flat fee. I'll just say, where is it? And I will quote my flat fee. So whether it's a party and I'm being booked, you know, say it's someone's birthday party, so the people would go anyway to the party on that day, but I'm being booked in the corner to read tarot readings, or whether it's just someone having a group of friends round and they're all going to chip in, that's up to her if they chip in, and she could make a profit out of it. I don't care. She's responsible for paying me my flat fee.
And that's a good point, because what you're saying is that in your case, you're still being booked.
Yes.
Right. Versus you are trying to put this together yourself and have people.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. I just want people to be aware of the various ways that things happen. Like,
I suppose you could
when
try
they go out
and
in the world,
put it
that's what you're
together.
going to see.
You could try and put it together yourself. You're quite right. I've never considered that, to be honest, but you put the idea in my head now. But yeah, you could try and do
Well,
it.
also, you don't go to parties and try to head up on hotties. So, just the fact that it is not part of your psyche doesn't mean that it doesn't happen all the time everywhere. But I want our listeners to be prepared for anything that comes their way, where at least they can say, "Oh yeah, I've heard about this," and then, and if they haven't heard about this before us, I would like them to be able to. I want you guys to be able to figure out what works for you.
Can I say one other thing as
Yeah,
well?
please do.
Just
Please
to do
do.
with sort of psychology and the mentality of it. Let's say it is somebody's birthday and they're having a party and they think, oh, it'd be a good idea to have a tarot reader.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So the chances are that that party will happen. Do you see what I'm saying? The chances are that that will be a reliable booking as far as I am concerned. But when somebody decides, oh, I'm going to have a group of friends round and then we can all have a tarot reading and I'm quoting my same price, then it's the responsibility of that person to kind of get enough people to come so that it pays for itself, if that makes sense. I don't think that's such a reliable scenario as the first one from the money side of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would make absolutely sure that they paid up front in full, and that's how, and that will force them to get those people.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. No, God, I hate to end on a sour note, but let's say somebody, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Let's say somebody really has intentions. Wow, we're gonna get 50 people, we're gonna 100 people, and we're gonna say, hey, everybody throw in $10, and we'll pocket $500, and we'll pay $200 to the psychic, we'll have $300, and 2 people show up. Well, now they're upset at you. Like, but you just came in. You're like, hey, we have an arrangement. I'm going to be doing this. Like, no, because they're under stress because the people didn't show up, and now that they feel like they have to put money out, and you're there going, hey, I'm going to be paid. So you bring up a good point. Definitely get paid up front. I don't know. Thing is, go out and enjoy the world. Go out and everybody listening, go out and try new things and see what happens. But hopefully you've taken notes so that you're not getting caught off guard.
But I've got to say, I've done quite a lot of parties. I really have, and I've loved them all. They've all been very different, but it's been wonderful.
And also you've gone in intelligently, because you did parties long before you did tarot.
Yes.
So I mean, so you are a good example of what we can learn from someone who is doing it right and is able to avoid negative situations.
I'd like to think so. Yeah, I would. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's very different doing tarot readings to doing kids entertainment, but I really have loved reading the tarot at parties in those atmospheres. It's been great. Yeah
All right, boys and girls, that's what we got. I just thought of it today and said we should really sit down and just prepare you for the world of tarot parties when you go do it, or if you're putting one together and you want to have a reader come in, there's something to think about. If you have any questions, write me at write me at dustywhite.net. That's WRITEME, and I'll get to my email. And but yeah, we'll be more than happy to help you out. That's what we do here. All right, blah blah blah. I'm gonna go. I gotta give a listen. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dusty. Bye.
I'm